What's up, guys? Moonman here. Today I'm in Gillsburg, Mississippi, near the town of Magnolia, to check out this monument here to a rock and roll tragedy, one of the most famous tragedies in music, the plane crash site and death site of Lynyrd Skynyrd, some of the band. Now, after years of people who were rescuers and survivors of the crash talking about putting a memorial and coming here and reminiscing, they did decide to put one in here. And this is the address here for it. Now, and then they erected these monuments here that tell a little bit about it. So basically what had happened was Lynyrd Skynyrd, very influential Southern rock band, rock and roll band at their prime in October 20th, 1977, chartered a twin-engine prop plane, and they were heading from Greenville, South Carolina to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to make a show. And it did not make it there. And there it is, Billy Powell, the keyboardist for Skynyrd, said, all I saw was treetops. So it says here, you can pause it and read more if you want to, but basically some eyewitnesses on the ground cited that the plane was going too low, a lot too low. Then it eventually started hitting the treetops. So a bunch of like farmers, hunters, and volunteers and all that converged on the area, but it was dark. So they could not see it because they didn't have any fuel or anything, so it didn't even catch on fire or anything. That's the original cause for the crash, was the plane ran out of fuel, and it missed where they were trying to land it somewhere, but it couldn't make it there, and it started hitting trees, chopping trees. And then they had to actually get a helicopter, emergency helicopter, to spotlight in the darkness so the rescuers could see the plane. At this time, nobody knew this was Lynyrd Skynyrd's plane. They just knew that there was people on the plane and it had crashed. So because of the actions of all these, heroes, rescuers, most people of the 26 people on the plane, only 20 of them did survive and 6 of them did pass away. The ones that passed away were the lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, guitarist Steve Gaines, his sister Cassie Gaines, who's a backup singer, the assistant tour manager Dean Kilpatrick, and both pilots Walter McCreary and William Gray all passed away. And there's one of their logos there with the song Freebird, which is undoubtedly one of their biggest songs and one of the biggest songs in American rock history, if not rock and roll history as a whole. And this is basically talking about before it. You can pause that and read it if you want, but it basically says all the stuff that they did, how they named, where they're from, Jacksonville, and how they named the band after their gym coach Lynyrd Skynyrd, and then how the albums that they released and the songs, like such as Freebird, obviously, Sweet Home Alabama, Simple Man, Tuesday's Gone, Give Me 3 Steps, That Smell, just tons of songs, like that. This helped really push their legacy. And then it says, the last album released just 3 days before the plane crash, which is called Street Survivors, would eventually reach the highest record chart ranking of all of their work. It's got one of their logos right there. Pretty cool. So here's what I was saying again. It was going from Greenville, South Carolina to Baton Rouge. And apparently it was a Convair CV-240 was the plane, and there were suspicions about the plane. The company that owned the aircraft had scheduled it for maintenance soon, and some band members had considered taking commercial flight to their next performance. But the alternative arrangements were never made, and when it ran out of fuel, they knew they couldn't make it there, so they tried to land it in Macomb, Mississippi, and it was too far. That was the emergency objective. And then it crashed. And it's talking about, at the accident, many of the rescuers in the heated rush of the moment did not recognize the victims among the wreckage were members of the band Lynyrd Skynyrd. One of the rescuers recalls wondering what a bunch of hippies doing on an airplane. They don't look like they can afford a ticket. Even some who are recognized the band may have been confused in their excitement. One of the witnesses at the scene informed others nearby, that's Lynyrd Skynyrd's plane. But don't worry, I think Lynyrd made it out okay. And a line from Freebird, if I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? I think the answer ended up being a resounding yes. Many people do. And then the other one here says, because I'm as free as a bird now, and as bird, you cannot change. And sorry, pardon me in there, but there is the thing for Ronnie Van Zant. Ronald Wayne Van Zant, January 15th, 1948 to October 20th, 1977. Then he was the lead singer. There's Dean Arthur Kilpatrick, May 30th, 1949, October 20th, 1977. He was assistant tour manager. There was Steve Earl Gaines, September 14th, 1949. And his sister, backup singer Cassie Gaines. And here on the one in the middle, there is a picture of the band there, all together. If you walk over here, Ronnie Van Zant has a little thing someone had put out here for him that they had erected for him. And on the back, it has this little poem here, which I'll go down it and you can read it. It's by Gene Odom, which was one of Ronnie's best friends, and was also on the plane. He was a survivor. He actually was very helpful, and he was very aware that the plane was going to crash when many of the other band members did not know. He tried to really get a lot of people help, and he still comes here and does interviews and stuff here, and things like that. But the plane crash actually happened through the woods. It actually happened back there. You can no longer go back there. The plane is gone. Whenever the plane crashed, a lot of people scavenge stuff, but not only that, but the FAA, they reconstruct the flights and they take all the stuff. So there's nothing there, and they don't allow you on that part of the property, which is understandable. But yeah, this is where it all happened. It would have been crazy. In this area, there's not a whole lot. So I know this had to be, back then it had to be something, today it'd be really big, and back then it had to be just huge, and so tragic that it is. And I'll pan over this to show you guys everybody who was on this. You can pause it if you want, and what they did. This is everybody who was on the plane that day, survivors and fatalities. It actually had been said that the plane was actually at some point supposed to be taken by Aerosmith, another famous American rock band, and their inspector crew or whatever did not want them to take that plane, and Lynyrd Skynyrd ended up taking it, obviously, and this is what happened. But it's been rumors that, like, whenever they heard that the plane had crashed, that they had actually had obviously strong feelings about it, because some members of Aerosmith supposedly wanted to take that plane. They really made a big case that that's the plane they wanted to take. Looks like they have get-togethers and stuff here, but there is a donation box, because this is a free site to visit, but they do accept donations. And there is a guest list in here that you can sign, and they have one for every month, and they change it out. And I did check, it is like a page and a half full of people just for today, but I guarantee, because the sun's going down, I'm the last one. All right, guys, that's it here in Gillsburg, Mississippi, here at the Lynyrd Skynyrd Crash Memorial. It's kind of a somber place, but it's a place of remembrance for a band that's never really been forgotten. Like the lyric says, if I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Obviously, yes. They are ingrained in Southern culture. They are ingrained in American music culture, American music forever, and I do not think that will ever go away. And it was good. I've always wanted to come here. I've always been a fan of Skynyrd. So if you enjoyed this one, you'll enjoy the next one too. So like, subscribe, and share, because Moon Man, he's out.